Chairperson, the African Christian Democratic Party notes the budget allocation for the department sitting at some 108 billion. We welcome the allocation of 135.4 million for computer services, the second largest line item in goods and services, as we prepare our students for what is commonly known as the fourth industrial revolution. The department's 2019-20 budget has to sustain some 50 TVET colleges with 264 campuses across the country and 26 universities, with at least one university in each of the 9 provinces. Within the education sector, 2018-19 basket allocation, basic education receives some 262.4 billion rand, higher education some 108.3 billion, a total of 370.3 billion, or more than 20% of our national budget. It must be mentioned that South Africa spends more per capita, or as a percentage of our GDP, on education than most of our counterparts, and yet produces some of the poorest results. The last Progress in International Reading Literacy study revealed that as many as 78% of our grade 4 learners in South Africa are not able to read in any language. The picture in maths and science is not encouraging either. When compared, for example, to our Kenyan counterparts, our grade 6 students were found to be more functionally illiterate and innumerate. Our students must be able to comprehend, for example, that when adding A plus B, you get AB because you cannot add unlike terms. Our students must be able to comprehend that when multiplying A times B, for example, you get, or A times A, you get A squared because you are multiplying common bases and you add the indices. Our students must be able to comprehend that, for example, when you want to find the roots of a quadratic equation, that x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I'm not speaking in Latin. Our students, it is important if we want to improve the quality of higher education. It is important because it speaks to the quality of our student who enters the corridors of higher education. It is important because we set our students up for failure if they are not adequately prepared at the foundation or basic education phase. It is important because we cannot engage in social sexual engineering programs in basic education by making history a compulsory subject and teaching our children how to engage in masturbation, oral sex, anal sex, and same sex through comprehensive sexuality education, while simultaneously wanting to promote maths and science and coding. This is political and educational schizophrenia. It is important because if we wish to have higher learning education institutions of excellence, then we must address the paralyzing effect of unions in our schools.
Honorable Member, before I acknowledge you, Honorable Sonti, can the Honorable Member sit down? I note you.
Siyabulela che inhle kakhulu into ethethwa ngutata kodwa hey akuvakali uyalwa ngokungathi uyashumayela kho caweni la kaloku apha
Honorable Sonti, that's not a point of order. Can you sit down? No. Honorable Sonti, it is not a point of order. Honorable Member, you may continue.
I understand the difficulty some people have in comprehending, Chair. It is important because if we wish to have higher learning institutions of excellence, we must address the paralyzing effect of unions in our schools. We cannot have NASFES limping and operating in crisis mode. Chairperson, it must be
Honorable
mentioned.
Member, can you take your seat? I note you, Honorable DM.
Thank you. My point of order is based on relevant. I think this honorable member cannot comprehend that this is a higher education debate. He's crying in the wrong
Honorable Member, that's a point of debate. It's not a point of order. Honorable Member, you may continue.
Chair, I rise on a point of order, and I just request that you'll give our honourable member the additional time for the frivolous points of order that have been raised. I thank you.
Honourable Member, the time was stopped as the point of orders were made. Honourable Member, you may continue.
Thank you, Chairperson. It must be mentioned and instilled in our learners as I conclude that you do not have to destroy, damage, or burn what you have in order to obtain what you don't have. Our learners must be encouraged that they should never become prisoners of their past, because the past was just a lesson, not a life sentence. Our learners must know that difficult past and present circumstances are not a determinant to their future. The ACDP will support such learners. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I now invite the Honourable...
Sorry, Chair.
Yes, Honourable Member.
I didn't want to interrupt the previous speaker, but could we just give him another chance to repeat that mathematical equation? Because I got lost halfway through.
Honourable Member, I think you can speak to him privately and he will be able to give you that equation.